My name is Joseph Buckley, president of John Reid and Associates, and in this brief video presentation, we're going to talk about why Reid is considered the benchmark for proper interview and interrogation procedures. Over the years, a number of courts have used the techniques that we teach as a guideline for what is considered proper or improper. Here are just a couple of examples. In the case People versus Elias, the appeals court pointed out several prescribed procedures that were not followed by the investigators, resulting in a confession that the court found to be involuntary. The court pointed out that a non-accusatory interview was not conducted before initiating an interrogation, that the investigators misrepresented the case evidence when questioning the subject, who was a 13-year-old youngster, that there was no corroboration to the incriminating statement, and that there was contamination, meaning that the investigators revealed details of the crime during the questioning of the youngster. As a result, they couldn't use that information to confirm the authenticity of his statement. In another case, U.S. versus Preston, the U.S. Court of Appeals reviewed the confession of an 18-year-old with an IQ of 65. And the court pointed out that the investigators did not follow the cautions that we suggest when interviewing youngsters with limited mental capabilities. Specifically, the court pointed out in their opinion that among the police tactics used here were several recommended by a manual on police interrogation, and specifically our book, Criminal Interrogation and Confessions. Both of the officers had been trained in the Reid technique. However, the officers sometimes disregarded the cautions that we suggest when using various tactics. For example, using one of the recommended approaches, the officers asked Preston a number of questions that presented him with two alternatives as to how the crime was committed. Our book, however, suggests that these kinds of alternative questions would be inappropriate when used with suspects who have seriously impaired mental abilities. Several years ago at the National Association of Criminal Defense Attorneys conference, they were discussing that when an attorney wants to challenge the confession their client gave to the police because they thought the police acted in an inappropriate manner, the speakers encouraged the audience to review our website and to review our book, Criminal Interrogation and Confessions, for proper police practices regarding interviewing and interrogation. And specifically, one of the speakers said during the conference, quote, "There's a lot of gold in the Reid interrogation manual and on Reid.com, and we really encourage you to go there and cite that material." They were referencing the Reid technique as illustrating the proper way to conduct interviews and interrogations. In the Netflix series, Making a Murderer, the attorneys representing Brendan Dassey referenced Reid several times as pointing out what we teach to do, and they were suggesting the investigators did not follow our recommendations in this case. Specifically, we teach that using deception or references to false evidence should be avoided when interrogating a youthful suspect with low social maturity or a suspect with diminished mental capacity. The attorneys also referenced the fact that we teach investigators should not reveal all of the case details during the interview or interrogation, because you want the disclosure of those details to come from the subject to indicate he had independent knowledge of that information that only the guilty person would know. Over the years, we have assisted the Innocence Project in a number of different cases, serving as expert witnesses on proper and improper interview and interrogation techniques, working with them on the exoneration of some of their clients, and in one instance, actually securing the confession from the actual offender. In fact, this case was written up in New York Magazine under the title, "I Did It," and you see on the screen the website reference you can go to. We have also assisted other attorneys in wrongful conviction cases. So in conjunction with this video, I would recommend that you review a few others on this YouTube channel, specifically the core principles of the Reid technique and best practices. And I would also encourage you to go to our website at Reid.com to review our investigator tips. Thank you very much for taking a few minutes to review this video presentation.